Be ready, guys. 5 seconds. Start. Mr. Chairman, sir, labor is normally divided into two large categories. One is called organized and the other is called unorganized. But I do think that there are two other categories, but one is not sure whether they would fall under either of these two. One of them is bonded labor and the other is child labor. My honorable friend mentioned very categorically the problem of child labor and that the law that children below 14 years should not work has become irrelevant, especially in match industry which flourishes in my state, in Shivakashi and in BD industry, because the children have become wage earners who contribute to the overall income of the family, and parents do feel that banning them from employment is not fair. But what is unfortunate is that even though the law does exist on record, but when it comes to children and their employment and their future, the state seems to hesitate, to vacillate. I have found that many a time inspections have taken place and inspectors have come back and given reports that there are no children below 14 working, when it is obvious that more than 80% of those who are working in certain industries happen to be below 14 years, because it is understood between the parents and the employer and the inspector that it is in everybody's interest that such a report be given. It has almost become irrelevant from the point of view of the child. I wonder whether you could take up these two arenas with utmost seriousness, the first being child labor and the second being bonded labor. I have noticed from your report the figure that you have presented that only 3,000 bonded labor have been rehabilitated. Have we really done substantial amount of work in respect of bonded labor? A lot of publicity has taken place. The Doordarshan has been used very effectively. But when it really comes down to grassroots results, one is shaken to see the figures being almost insignificant. I think substantial concentration is required in these two arenas. I know there is a lot of contempt in the minds of many in this house for the organized labor. There may not be so much from this side, but from the other side I can see many members of this house look upon organized laborers as high-wage island members. In other words, many of them think that all our organized laborers are in high-wage islands. I think it is very unfair criticism. It is true that there is a section of organized labor who get reasonable wages now, but if you want to look at it from the point of view of living wages, I would say that it has not been achieved in many cases. The organized labor falls into various classes. I think the labor minister should catch on to what really the organized labor is. You have organized laborers in large scale industries and medium scale industries. You have organized labor in service sector and governmental sector, and you have organized labor in small scale industries also. Unfortunately, they are one of the most exploited among the organized labor. In many of the small-scale industries, organized labor get even lesser than the minimum wage announced in that state, and there the inspector who is involved under the Factories Act is openly in collusion with many of these so-called small-scale industries. In fact, there is a new trend today. The trend is, why do you put up a major industry of large investment in one area and why not split up the industry into 5 or 6 departments? They may be even at the same place but call it as 5 different establishments. One produces the first stage of the product, the second stage of the product, the third stage of the product, the fourth, the finished product, and make investment below rupees 50 lakhs. Ultimately, the industry may be worth rupees 2 crores or maybe a little less than that, but then it is a small scale industry and it gets the protection for it. They are able to exploit. So it is high time that we brought the law to lift the wheel on this, because encouragement must go to the genuine small scale industry. In the name of small scale industry, exploitation of labor is the maximum in the organized sector. I think it is also relevant to bring to the notice of the government that in the unorganized arena, it is not sufficient just to have a national commission on rural labor. The demand for a central law has been voiced unanimously by all sides, all parties and all groups. It is high time that a central law was brought out and immediate steps taken to consult all concerned who deal with the subject. Mr. Speaker, sir, while considering the various aspects of the welfare ministry, it is essential to find out the ways and means to implement all those welfare programs that could lead us towards the establishment of a welfare society. For the past many years, representatives of people, especially those belonging to the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, have been repeatedly demanding the setting up of a separate ministry under a minister to look after welfare matters. The previous government had set up the welfare ministry in September 2005 and thus fulfilled a long-standing demand. Earlier, this department was attached either to the Home Ministry or to the Education Ministry in the name of Department of Social Welfare. Hence, it was not possible to pay due attention to it. Therefore, the then Prime Minister Shri Rajiv Gandhi pondered over this matter seriously and took a historic decision on it, and thus the Ministry of Welfare was created, and this ministry started working independently. Several departments attached to the Home Ministry, including the Department of Harijan Welfare and other departments looking after the welfare of minorities, disabled people and other weaker sections of the society, were detached from the Home Ministry and put under the Ministry of Welfare. Apart from this, steps were also taken for the fulfillment of several commitments made by the government as also of those tasks which the government was supposed to do under the directive principles incorporated in our constitution and which were left unattended to even after 58 years of independence. Although our constitution calls upon the government to take steps so as to make the weaker sections and the disabled self-reliant so that they do not become a burden on the society, it is regrettable that we have not been able to formulate any national policy in this regard. A national policy for children was announced, but appropriate steps were not taken in the right direction for the implementation of that policy. The work was taken up, but much remains to be done in this direction because our country has not been able to progress as much as it should have. For this purpose, it is necessary to have adequate resources. Today, the situation is that due to non-availability of resources, we are not able to allocate as much money as we would have liked for our programs. The previous government had constituted a committee and the committee was entrusted with the job of suggesting a national policy for the handicapped, keeping in mind the factors such as the facilities that could be provided to them, ways and means to provide them with equipment and assistance, and also ways and means to provide them with education and training in the cities so that instead of being a burden on the society and depending on their parents, they can make themselves useful and make a place in the society. The committee was to give its recommendations on these issues. I would like the present government to take steps to implement the recommendations made by this committee and also keep in mind those recommendations while formulating the bill relating to the handicapped, because so far we have not been able to formulate the requisite national policy for the handicapped. Many experts have expressed their views after much discussion and deliberations. The government should take steps to implement those recommendations. I believe that this House will unanimously agree that there should definitely be a national policy regarding the handicapped so that they need not depend on others. There are many countries in the world where many special laws have been made for the welfare of the handicapped and they are provided with many additional facilities. We too can formulate a national policy for the handicapped on the lines of those formulated by other governments. Mr. Chairman, sir, as I said in the beginning, the rate of infant mortality in our country is very high due to many reasons including poverty, malnutrition and undernourishment. Similarly, many children are deprived of proper education as they fall victims of bad habits. We have observed that in many families the parents are illiterate or they are so busy in their work that they are not able to pay proper attention to their children. Some of these parents work as laborers while some others are engaged in similar menial jobs. The previous government had formulated, passed and implemented the Juvenile Justice Act. I would like the government to make adequate arrangements to see that the act is fully implemented in all the states and that none of its provisions is violated. The children are the future of our country and as such cannot be neglected. Tomorrow they are going to shoulder the responsibility of the nation.